Hi, welcome to Manhattan, where stuff is happening all the time. In today's episode of Steve Explores the City and Doesn't Get Run Over, I will be attending day 2 of the conference. But first I have to get there. Which way is the...
Great. Well, thank you, Dave. As those of you who know my work know, I focus primarily on near-term rather than the longer-term ethical and governance challenges posed by emerging technologies. As far as the longer-term concerns, such as superintelligence,
What he did was he adjusted his instrumental goal towards this final goal. He has new beliefs now about what would reach this final goal. He used to think it was accumulating wealth. Now he thinks it's cheer. But Aristotle pointed out 2,000 plus years ago, that's not so helpful to say. That's a very vague final goal, right? So the way I understand a certain ethical tradition called specificationism, which is sort of new to me, I'm not an ethicist in the background, but it turns out it has a lot in common with some of my thinking. Maybe there's no real difference between specifying a vague final goal like happiness or changing a more specific final goal like accumulating wealth.
And that's exactly what I'm proposing we have to figure out how to do.
Applied theology.
No, I mean, I hope nothing I've said suggests that you guys don't have to, you can quit your day jobs. But
Lunch in the same place as yesterday, which I know you didn't see. They have awesome turkey sandwiches.
From deserving equal moral status, for example, free will or consciousness or human-like creative insight.
And they're tied to us via evolutionary history, so that we know that those behaviors and physiology are pretty good evidence that they have capacities like ours. They have a similar brain part. This is very naive science. If they have brains that are very similar to ours and they behave in ways that are similar to ours, we can expect that they evolve for similar purposes and so have similar qualia. You might be skeptical of that, but our inferences about minds that are like ours and evolutionarily related to ours are better than our inferences about minds that are made of computer parts that don't share an evolutionary history and aren't physiologically like ours.
Oh, a much needed break after a day of panels.
On the other hand, that AI is not conscious. I want to emphasize that this is a game changer too, for a number of reasons. First of all, the media has been talking a lot about being in a computer simulation. Okay, the good news is if AI can't be conscious, you're not in a simulation right now, because you would be AI if you were in a simulation. So congratulations. All right, but other issues also. We can't merge with machines in this case the way people like Ray Kurzweil envision. Replacing parts of your biological brain with microchips would cause you to lose awareness. And it's not clear at all that you would be able to survive brain uploading. Humanity, as I like to tell people.
Let's ignore their instrumental relevance and so on. Who's going to kill the chicken? Who's going to kill the planet of humanoid zombies? Looks like it's one from Star Wars.
What is the metric of consciousness here before I cast my vote?
you know what you're talking
I get to make it up.
That is based on the correlation between two things, what they tell us and the brain, and then we can extrapolate when we see the same brain signals for somebody who's not talking. We can assume that that being is conscious. Without that correlation, we can ask computers, but when the brain signal is not there, I really find it extremely difficult to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm the optimist. I really think that there is an answer that we will recognize once we get it.
Because for me, the consciousness when you're completely passive and you're watching something that makes no sense whatsoever, or listening to sounds that that don't mean anything in particular, that is conscious. For me, at least, I feel I'm conscious when I'm having those experiences. How I would know that you have those experiences, I didn't know 60 years ago, and I'm no closer to knowing.
So when I was 16, I first problem, how do we make something that we are pretty sure is definitely not conscious? Still pretty difficult, but if you have your AI that is sufficiently powerful coming up with hypotheses to explain the world, and the world contains people, we have to worry about the fact that the best hypothesis to describe a conscious being is much more likely than many other computations to be a conscious being, even if it's not the same conscious being. And I would also like to say a word of optimism about this seemingly utterly hopeless and confusing problem, because I'm such a famous optimist. And that is that if I flip a coin and I don't know how the coin landed, and I say 50% probability, my ignorance isn't a fact about the coin, it's a fact about me. A blank map does not correspond to a blank territory. I sometimes say that mysterious questions do not have mysterious answers. In fact, we've made that mistake many times through history, never with anything as on the same order as conscious experience and qualia, but life. Like Lord Kelvin called it infinitely beyond the reach of present science. How trees generate generation after generation of trees from a seed. He got a big emotional kick out of not knowing something, and made statements about its eternal inaccessibility, which were violated mere decades later. And that's because when you are confused about something, the confusion is part of the map. There's no such thing as confusion in the territory. In some way, we are confused about consciousness, and the way we will recognize our answer is when we know that we have stopped being confused. And there isn't going to be a fundamental barrier. It's just going to be something that we were confused about, and we will recognize the answer because instead of the new theory of consciousness still giving consciousness a sort of sacred, inaccessible, opaque status and saying, this is the ritual that matter performs to summon the inscrutable demon of consciousness, we will wake up and realize that we are no longer confused about the subject. Meanwhile, if you build an artificial intelligence and you need it to have some level of reflectivity, split it into two processes, have AI 1 being reasoning on the object level, have AI 2 being reasoning about AI 1, but if you can possibly avoid it, don't have AI 2 reasoning about itself, and enforce strict type discipline on the reflective process so that there's only AIs reasoning about other AIs, and hopefully that will prevent it from being conscious in the meanwhile while we work it out.
Okay, I think maybe Tom Nagel might have a thing on to say about consciousness.
So Facebook takes a bit of video before and after every photo, which is it shows you sushi. Oh, camera's pointed the wrong way. Check out all these lightsabers. How much are the lightsabers? $5. $5. All right. Well, today was ridiculously fun. I'm about to, tuck into the subway. And we'll get back to it tomorrow. Ross and I have this epic plan for doing videos at all the touristy spots around town. It should be fun. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next